Hi everybody, this is Angie from Tourangie.com, and this is me heading to Naras. There is so much to talk about with the little city of Naras. There's a population of about 2,000 people that live in the area, and there's so much information I guarantee that you do not know. So first off, seeing the slowdown, the New River was right off to our right. And there's this bridge that I'll be crossing here in just a second, that bridge right there. This section of Route 460 continues on and continues on to Parisburg, and there's some businesses, a couple gas stations, a Burger King straight ahead, and I would consider this part of Naras too. I'm not going to be showing that off in the video. It's just businesses, nothing. I mean, not saying that it's not special, it's just driving along 460. I'm crossing this bridge that we just went under, and that's where the true town of Narrows is. It's named Narrows because the New River narrows in this area. Isn't that neat? So the river itself is really wide in different portions, but it narrows down because of the mountains. It has to weave in and out through the mountains here, and it's not near as wide, so that's why it's called Narrows through here, and the town is called Narrows. So let's talk a little bit about some of the history and some of the different things you may not know about. One of the things that's really important is Mill Creek, and it's a conservation site. I'm about to say conversation. Sorry, conservation site. Can be reached only through Narrows, really. It can be reached through Parisburg, but the easiest way is through Narrows. But it's basically, you're in that conservation area, and it's the side of cliffs off the mountains. It is diversity biologically different than areas all throughout the rest of this area. For example, like turtles. There's the eastern box turtle, and it's common all throughout the Appalachian Mountains. But there's these turtles in that little section that are shut off from ever basically leaving the area unless they, get killed by walking across the highway. There is variations and differences in the flowers and the trees just because of the steep cliff facings on the backside of Narrows, the city of Narrows. You have to go through the historic district, and then you take a right about 2 miles after you take the right, you'll be at the Mill Creek area. And Narrows is known for Wolf Creek, which flows into the New River. So I'm sorry, there is a glare right here. I apologize. It's awful, and I hate it. But I'm going to drive through, and then I'm going to turn around. And when I turn around and drive back through the area, you'll get a better look at the buildings and see how cute this city really is. So let's get into some of the history. So one of those interesting bits of history is where Narrows is basically near a deep gorge with the river, how it has to narrow down. The New River narrows down to pass through the mountains. To block the Union troops, the Confederate Army built a fort at Narrows and aimed its guns down through the gorge, so that prevented the Union troops from passing through it. So that's an interesting bit of information. Settlers reached the town of Narrows in Parisburg as early as 1778. A ferry crossing the New River at Parisburg was started by Captain George Paris. Obviously, Paris is the reason for the name Parisburg. But Paris donated land, timber, and stone for the construction of public buildings, including the courthouse that brought the town of Parisburg into being, and helped out with building of Narrows too. When I was talking earlier about the diversity of habitats with the steep mountain cliffs, they call that Angel's Rest Cluster. And it's a region in the Jefferson National Forest, and the Wilderness Society has named it that area because of the isolated valley, waterfalls, and wetlands. And the Jefferson National Forest is like right up against Narrows, but continues on towards the west into Bland County. And there's many waterfalls. Dismal is over there. Of course, I mentioned Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek starts over in Bland County. So there's Jefferson National Forest is a really important forest area in the area of Virginia, just south of West Virginia. So I figured I would go on and mention that real quick. Down the road, just a little bit further, I'm going to turn around. Not far at all, because I want to bring you back through Narrows so you can actually see it without this daggone glare in my window. But like I said earlier, the place was settled in 1778. A post office was opened in 1873, and the town finally became incorporated in 1904. They had the New River Rebels, which was a minor baseball league. It represented the area, Narrows and Parisburg, and that was in the 1940s. And there was a airplane crash here. It was December 22nd, 1996. The Airborne Express Flight 827 crashed in Narrows, killing 6 people on board. There is the Narrows Commercial Historic District, and it was placed in the National Register of Historic Places in 2014. And you'll be able to tell the Commercial Historic District once we get back up into the town of Narrows. It's a beautiful little buildings and just perfect, main streets of all the small towns. Just something I look forward to and seeing in any of those small towns. Rich Creek had a little section of it. Of course, Princeton, Bluefield, other places have these cute and quaint little buildings in their small towns and stuff. But the small town ones are the best because all the life centered around that little area. So I think that's neat. And you'll be able to see it up here, just up here on the right as we get back through it. There are a couple cemeteries nearby. There's the Hill Cemetery, the Hill Family Cemetery. There's also the Day Cemetery that was back over there on the right. There's small little family cemeteries. The Narrows Elementary School is up here on the right. And of course, there's the Narrows Town Park. There's just up here going to be on the left. But there's right up beside Wolf Creek. Like I said, Wolf Creek joins the new river here at Narrows. We're crossing it over Wolf Creek right now. Right up here is the elementary school I was talking about, just up here on the right. You see that? But anyway, as I was saying, here on the left, just up the road, just a smidge, there's a parking area where you can turn in and look at the Wolf Creek, and there's always a ton of geese there. I'm going to stop right here and take a right just to show off just a little bit, hopefully. There we go. That's the elementary school I was talking about. Get a better idea of where the school was in location to the road. I'm turning right back around, though, because I want to get the downtown area filmed before the sun messes with the glare on on this video anymore, because it's crazy glare right now. The sun is dropping in the sky, and crazy glare with the video, so I apologize for that. But like I said, there's always, like this stop sign, you might even be able to tell it. That creek is right there, and it's pretty big, pretty deep for a creek. There's always a ton of geese there. Now, like I've mentioned in another video, Hurricane Helene damaged Narrows pretty heavily back in September. There was a lot of flooding and different things. And you can tell there's some low-lying spots in between the mountains. And we're back, if you follow Main Street, which I'm going to take a trip down Main Street for just a second. That's how you get to the Mill Creek area. You'll take a right off of Main Street, and that's where those mountains are, that cluster, Angels Rest cluster, and different things. Okay, so now we're getting to the heart of Narrows. All these buildings right through here, you can see it, the old town of Narrows. Some of the first families that had arrived here were the Hale families. Like I mentioned, the Hale family cemetery back there. There's also the Hare family. Mackenzie was a common name. And also French. And a lot of these people came from Pennsylvania. The first church was established in 1890s and it was a Methodist church. But in 1922, here on Main Street, because that's what we're on now, was the new church that was built. And it was made to accommodate the rapid growth due to the economic boom of this area due to the railroad and the Reconstruction era after the Civil War. But there was a Union Tanning Company here. We had all kinds of cute little businesses there in that downtown area. And look at these houses. I just love the looks of some of these houses here. Well, this is about to become the end of my video just because the sun is setting. I've got glares on my video if I drive certain directions. And honestly, I don't think the video quality is that good due to the shadows and different things. You can't really tell a lot about the buildings. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of Narrows, Virginia. And I'm sure I'll be back some more to talk about it later. One thing I forgot to mention, the Appalachian Trail, very close by near Mill Creek. So I'll talk to you all later.